Good morning. Hi out there. Babushka, I wanted to show you and the other viewers out here on this channel to give you a better view. Up ahead is the main part of the old school buildings across that field of the University of Washington campus. Francis and I are back at the hospital. He has a checkup. Everything's great. You know, it is what it is with the ups and downs, but he's pulling through just great. So I have some free time. I'm going to give you a little tour. Now, I believe the University of Washington College and everything, the original buildings, were built in 1861. So it was established before Washington, the state of Washington, became a state of the Union of the United States. And I believe that was in 1889. So yeah, so this college was established before the statehood of Washington. So the statehood of Washington was still part of the Oregon Territory back in the day. I'm going to show you something special. Yeah, you don't like sports, but Husky Stadium has an interesting history too. This remodel of it, which is pretty sweet because it has a retractable roof, was done in 2013. And it's had various upgrades over the years, beginning, I think, around 1950 or so. And originally, the turf for the sports, like the old school football games, was dirt before it became grass, before it became the fake turf. So I believe your grandfather John Henry played the old school pigskin football in this stadium. But at the time, he was going to the University of New Mexico, and that was in the 1930s. And then when he enlisted in the Navy back in the day, yes, he chose to enlist rather than be drafted. And then that way his younger brother wouldn't have to go. He did some training through the Navy for basics. And I think he got a little bit of pilot training too here at University of Washington. So here's a good look of it. I like it because of the purple. I'm not so much into sports either. I grew up around sports in a very tiny town where sports or the rodeo was everything. And society back then, when I was young, they kind of turned their nose down on the arts and sciences, and most stuff was focused around sports so much it got shoved down my throat. A hard pill to swallow. And I just never really got into sports. I like boxing, contact sports like that. And yeah, I used to enjoy hockey once in a while. But it's still a good view, and it's still a beautiful thing. We're going to take a walk down below it. Let's see. Actually, let's take the steps down. The sun is up and it's gorgeous. Look at that. And it's a good day to get some breathing and stretching exercises in. Conveniently, this is right near the Metro bus tunnel, or at least the University of Washington bus tunnel entrance. Now with this remodel, just to show you real quick, this is who sponsored it, you know, not too long ago. Alaska Airlines. So that's why they call it Alaska Airline Field. And this is in an upper middle class area as well, called Montlake. So back in the day, this is where a lot of upper middle class, after the settlement, and petty bourgeois had settled. Because it's right near Lake Washington. And it's kind of part of, I don't know, what's the term? The houses on the hill, so to speak. Back in the day with horse and buggies. I'm going to take you down near Lake Washington here. Let's see how far we can go. We're gonna get away from the cars here too and take a scenic route. See that little tower up ahead? Isn't that cute? Now that's old school. And very elaborate for its day. Find it absolutely beautiful. We're approaching one of the main little bridges that goes over Lake Washington. Isn't that fantastic? Yep. Built around 1889. And yeah, the lamps. It's great. It almost has, well, it is. It's from the Victorian period. So it has that kind of, you know, little, I don't know what to call it, like out of the C.S. Lewis books about Narnia, you know. The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. You can imagine a fawn, you know, near this lamppost. And there's more than one lamppost. Go see down there. I'm going to take us down there. There's a trail with easy access. Isn't that beautiful? Oh, here's part of the lake here going out. And see how it goes underneath. Absolutely gorgeous. Okay, let me take you down. To all the folks out there too, as well as Babushka, thank you again so much for liking and sharing and subscribing. It really touches my heart. I want to put out more videos, and I will in time. I'm in no hurry. And I am going to give a good view of Boeing Field. Maybe later on today or tomorrow is the goal. But in the meantime, it's been being there for Francis all the time and doing everything that needs to be done and staying strong. And being thankful for every day and knowing how precious life is at every moment and staying positive. But I have been eating well and taking care of myself. And doing lots and lots of breathing and stretching exercises. Staying in shape. I gotta be focused on it. Oh no, check this out. It looks like that tree has a tag on it. Isn't that interesting? Amazing. So that's to identify it. Fantastic. At first, I thought it was a tag for an animal, but it's not. It's for the tree. I've always loved murky water areas. Although in the past, growing up as a girl, because I grew up in the Willamette Valley with the old Willamette River, which comes out of the huge old Columbia River. There was an area, a little branch of the Willamette River, back when I was about 8. It's part of the Willamette River near Salem. And there's a ferry there called the Wheatland Ferry. And I remember making a mistake of standing on the edge where the ferry pulls up on the edge of the water, and it was too slimy. And I slipped in and I got tangled up in brambles like this, mixed with blackberries and stinky belladonna weeds. My hair was so long. I almost began entangled in the current. And then I saw the reflection of my mother's slip-on. They weren't high heel slip-ons. They were about 1.5 inches. But I remember seeing the reflection of those shoes and seeing her toes. And then seeing her arm through the water. And all around me, down in the water, were bubbles. And I could see the fish swimming and the algae, along with the weeds and brambles. And she grabbed me by my hair. I think my long hair is what saved me. And she yanked me out of water like this, but flowing a little bit faster with the current. And she may well have saved my life. After that day with swimming, to this day, if I swim, I don't like sticking my face in the water. I would rather float on my back or do a backstroke. When I worked for the Forest Service, though, because on weekends, we would go to places like the Mackenzie River, further down, closer to the southern part of Oregon, places like that. I would be willing to actually jump off of fences, like up ahead there, into bodies of water. I was surrounded by a positive group of people. And they earned my trust. It was wonderful. They got me back in the saddle of my confidence. And I'm getting back in the saddle again. Don't you just love looking at the foliage here? And how the vines climb up the trees. There's a northwesty plant. Every moment I'm going to drink this in while I have some time off. Oh, there's a house in the Swiss style fashion. And check that out. Isn't that gorgeous? And look at the sun. It's been rising. I love it. I think the sunrise has always been my favorite time of day. That's where I want to see the sun positioned. Oh, here we go. Here's a team. And it's a team of women. Fantastic. Isn't that hella cool? I love it. I've canoed like that, but it was back in the day in my early 20s. I'll do it again someday because I miss it so much. When I worked for the Forest Service on our weekends, we would do canoeing, take excursions, or be in regular paddle boats. Those are fun too, especially if you have a good group of people. when you can work well together as a team. Hella cool. Check that out. Isn't that great? The Husky crew. Nice. Okay, I'm gonna show you some more. You know, the state of Washington is the evergreen state for the evergreen tree. Always thought that was much, much better than Oregon. Oregon is the beaver state and known for all its timber and logging, just like Washington. However, beaver and logs, oh God, when we talk about it in grade school, the naughty kids, they would always have a chuckle, you know, for the naughty meanings behind those words. But yeah, see this launch area here? This is like what I slipped in when I was a young girl. Yeah. Getting too close and didn't realize that there was slime. So fantastic. So here we are. Straight out ahead of us, too, in the background, behind the trees, that mountain range is the Cascades. The natives of this region called it the Bridge of the Gods. There was intense volcanic activity back in the day, especially in areas of southern Oregon, where Crater Lake is now. It used to be a mountain called Mount Mazama, and it exploded. There was more volcanic activity than that. We're thinking about, historically it was around 3,000 years ago or so. The mythology with some of the Native American tribes, and it's been handed down, you know, in oral stories, that certain mountains represented certain warriors or certain women warriors or women of high esteem, just like the males. But there was fighting amongst certain mountains. This is how they defined that period of activity, and it correlates with the Cascades of the Bridge of the Gods. But certain mountains they defined were fighting over the hand of other mountains that represented Native women. And during that time of volcanic activity, the natives defined it with the bridge of the gods that it began to fall because the fighting got so intense. Very true. You know, natural disasters, they happen. And it just depends on how one deals with it, by how societies are run, and the priorities in the mode of production. Isn't that gorgeous? I know I'm going on and on and on, but I have tons of notes written down on all these stories, because some of them, my dad, he would say these things over and over and over again, and I soaked them up. So these are all notes. So when my training with my relearning or reawakening with my artwork begins to excel, and I'll get better and better every day. It'll take time. But these videos now that are organic, out to Babushka and her husband and all of you out there, you can see them as notes. So not only do I have them written down, but they're also on film, and that's important. Check out the Canadian geese out there. I wish I could get a little closer. Maybe I can. Let's see what I can do. They have it cut off, and that makes sense. Most of this area for safety. It's also spring break, and unless somebody lives on the campus in the dorms or lives nearby, most of these buildings have been shut down, and students have been doing their courses online. There's not enough people around. Oh, look at the colors here. Here's some Northwest plants. Check that out. Beautiful. Kind of like the Husky purple. And I love the purple and green. And the daffodils are starting to finish their bloom season. Yeah, it is springtime here. Because this is when the Canadian geese fly around and migrate and end up over here for a while. Isn't that beautiful? They're huge. I love them. I'm gonna let you go before this gets too long, and I gotta head up back closer to the hospital to be nearby. So again, everybody out there, I love you. Take care. So Babushka, Tombo, Lionel Roy, Mind Power Musician, and Alex G. Thank you so much. And please like, share, subscribe, comment, and I'll get back to you. One more look at the sun and the mountain range. So again, thank you. Much love, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.